I'm Zach.
And I'm Lindsay.
And we're the Game Forum.
This week, we're going to be doing a special spotlight on the coronavirus in the entertainment industry.
Yep. So, E3 got canceled.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was not really surprised about this.
No, it was a good call. Because, I mean, there's a lot of people that go there, and it's only going to create more chaos, especially in Los Angeles, which they're not under a state of emergency.
No, not right now.
But I know San Francisco is.
Yes.
Yeah, but...
I mean, thinking about this from the perspective of these companies, though, like, if they send out a lot of their people to this and someone ends up getting it and coming back to their company,
yeah.
I mean, that could really spread the coronavirus, like, a lot.
Yeah, or they send someone out and then the airport gets locked down or quarantined and then they're stuck there. It's a huge, like, risk to companies, so it makes sense for this to happen.
Yes.
But it also seems like E3 was kind of not turning the way that people wanted it to be.
Yeah, I mean, we did a video on it not too long ago. You guys can check that out in our video boxes. But pretty much, like, E3 has already been on the downslide anyway.
Yeah.
And I think most of the major players in the gaming industry are going to be switching to doing their own stuff, kind of like Nintendo Directs.
Yeah.
The thing that does suck is the little players, the smaller indie developers. This is a spot where they can really highlight and showcase some of their stuff with an audience. That's really going to hurt smaller developers a lot more than the bigger players.
Yeah, because the big boys, they got money. They can create their own day to where they show their stuff, and then the indie developers are really going to have to fight for the spotlight.
Yes, because I mean, E3, what it was originally intended for and still used by for a good bit is, for the industry to get out there and have a trade show where all the gaming people get together and they can look at stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you'd have, like, Sony might not have a press conference, but they'd still have some of their scouts out there to look at and have a hands-on feel for some of these indie games.
Yeah.
Where, for consideration of being maybe partnered with Sony or putting on the PlayStation Store, and it might delay some of that.
Yeah, and ESA had put out a statement, I believe it was prior to the cancellation, that they were creating this event for fans, media, and then the industry.
Mm-hmm.
But 5 years ago, it was the exact opposite of that.
Yes.
It was the industry, and then the media, and then the fans.
Yeah,
and
a couple people who got to come in anyway.
Yeah, so E3 was completely changing with Jeff Keighley. He left, and then even the creative director of E3, I Am 8-Bit, left as well.
Yes.
So, but it hasn't been confirmed if they knew that it was going to get canceled and they were just like, yeah, we're not going to be a part of it, or they just weren't happy with what it was going to turn into.
Yeah.
Which either is possible.
So I guess moving on, looking at some of these developers, as COVID-19 continues to spread, we're seeing a lot more governments and stuff start locking down, preventing people from going out.
Yeah.
We're seeing a lot more restrictions on trade. What do you think this is going to do for, like, these small development groups where they can't actually get together and work on stuff, or even bigger projects?
Yeah. I'd imagine we're going to see more game cancelizations or delays.
I think we're going to see a lot of delays, and especially on smaller studios, it might mean that the game gets canceled or even the studio goes under.
Yeah, it could be a lot of studio shutdowns. It could be, I'm expecting delays, like a load of delays. Hopefully not, and that's only if this continues to get worse. If it stops here and gets better, then I think, like, it'll be okay.
It'll be minimized, but I do think it'll probably end up getting a bit worse. I don't think it's going to be, anything super crazy, but I do think we are going to be seeing, governments, quarantining mass groups of population and, shutting down non-essential, more luxury stuff like we're seeing.
Yeah, like if Santa Monica, California goes on a quarantine, Naughty Dog is not going to be able to work on their game, which is coming out in May, which may get delayed again.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strong possibility.
Yeah, because I know some parts of California have been affected, and like San Francisco's been quarantined, and so it's entirely possible that there would be major delays this year.
Now, getting into some of that, going into like the trade deals and stuff, we're already seeing a lot of countries starting to shut down some of their trade to help control the virus. A lot of it too, they're not being able to produce as much because, South Korea and a lot of these Asian countries have been hit really hard, and they're some of the production hubs for a lot of the parts for the next gen consoles.
Well, Foxconn is the company, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they do pretty much all of the production of the systems.
I'm not sure exactly how much of it they do. I know they play a major role.
Yeah.
But, also, looking at, let's say the next Xbox and PlayStation, if they have to get, let's say, RAM from one company that's, based out of China, and that company is shut down due to the coronavirus, well, then if they can't get that, then they can't ship their consoles because they're not finished.
Yeah.
So, it could be, RAM, it could be a power supply, it could be, anything. There's all these number of parts, and they're all coming from, different countries to be put together into one product.
Yeah.
But if you have a huge slowdown and lack in the economy due to the coronavirus, where people can't go to work to make these products, you're going to start having massive shortages at a time where they're trying to ramp up production to build these consoles.
Yeah. Do you think it's likely that the PlayStation 5 and Xbox systems will be delayed?
As it is right now, I would say slightly. If it continues to get worse and we see like the United States lock down and start putting a lot of import bans on stuff, and especially commerce shut down and China gets worse, I think it's entirely likely that it'll push Xbox and Microsoft or Xbox and PlayStation out of the holiday window this year.
Yeah, but now they typically release consoles, before the holidays, kind of like get in before Black Friday and Christmas. If they get pushed out of that, do they just wait until holiday next year, or do they release like first quarter, spring, summer of 2021?
If we don't see it by Christmas, I don't think they would wait until Christmas of the next year because they have so much money tied up in the production of these. I think we'd probably see a summer release. They'd probably skip spring, wait for everything to level out, and then do a summer launch.
Would that delay affect the price, like more or less?
It would depend on how bad they got hit. I would tend to think that since they've already started talking about pricing on some of these things, they probably would not affect the price very much.
Yeah.
Because they've already kind of promised certain things, and that would cause a lot of negative backlash. But I mean, let's say that production doesn't hit the goals they want. We might still see a Christmas launch, just them trying to get into that window.
Yeah.
But instead of having, 10 million units at launch, it could be like a couple 100,000.
Yeah.
So, you might see the next console's launch, but good luck getting one.
Yeah. Which, I mean, with the way the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One are kind of, they're both like, Microsoft has come out and said, for the first 2 years, there won't be an exclusive to the Series X. Sony hasn't really said that. They've hinted that there'll be exclusives on the PlayStation, which will be a little unfortunate if the system gets delayed.
Yes.
But it's also not like, these systems still got a punch the pack. And so it's not like we're dying for a new system.
No, I mean, I think the current gen is still running strong.
Yeah, we could probably go another year.
Yeah, I mean, I would be perfectly fine with it because, I mean, what we see, Sony's still putting out, Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima this year.
Yeah. They could totally delay, maybe not in The Last of Us because it's been delayed so many times, but, delay Ghost to August or September, let that be the fall release.
Yeah.
If the PS5 were to get delayed, which so the rumors that are going around now is that saying that there's no reason for them to delay, but 2 weeks ago there was no reason for E3 to get canceled.
This is true. I mean,
so it's like this is moving fast.
It would really have to get a lot worse than it is right now for them to start talking about console delays.
Yeah.
But as we're starting to see, Italy has issued a state of emergency and a mandatory quarantine or lockdown. France and Spain just issued that Sunday. So, if the United States does and other countries do too, South Korea, Japan, a lot of where these countries are producing parts and building these next-gen consoles, if none of those people can go to work on anything for a couple of weeks, that's going to, really slow down the production of these. And, it's not just going to be like, okay, there's a 2-week pause and now everything's fine. Everything has to start building back up.
Yeah.
They don't have enough, let's say, parts and storage to start making these consoles. Well, they have to wait to get these parts shipped in, but they don't have those parts produced yet. It's going to take them a little while longer to get that finished. And, the whole supply chain just kind of falls apart when you pause everything like this. And especially with different countries doing different timelines.
Yeah.
Let's say Japan is fine and doesn't issue anything, but South Korea does for like 2 months because it's just super bad over there.
Yeah.
Japan couldn't just fix everything and produce everything if they had parts needing to come from South Korea.
Yeah.
So once you start tying everything together, it becomes a huge mess.
When do you think it is too late to announce delaying the consoles? By June, you think? But around where E3 would have been?
I think once we get into that part, let's say a couple months from now, we'll really have a good idea of how bad the coronavirus is and what kind of impact it's going to have on the supply chain.
Yeah.
So I would definitely say we're not going to see anything soon, but maybe by June or July, in the midst of all of this, maybe it's gotten a lot better and we're not worrying about it anymore and everything will be fine. Or maybe it's gotten a lot worse and delayed everything, and it could be fine here in the United States, but it might not be in South Korea or China or any of these other countries that we depend on for parts of the consoles.
Yeah. And what do you think if one of the consoles gets delayed and not the other? Or do you think that's even possible?
I think there's going to be so much interconnectivity between the manufacturers.
Yeah.
The people who make stuff for the Xbox are a lot of the same people who make stuff for PlayStation.
Yeah.
I think it would be highly unlikely that one would get delayed and the other one would not.
What if Xbox has already got their systems being in production, and then Sony is still finalizing some stuff, waiting on what Xbox is doing?
If that happened, then Xbox could have a leg up on Sony.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't really think in the overall scale of the console wars would make much of a difference. I mean, was it the 360 came out like 6 months or a year before the PlayStation 3? I think it was a year. 3.
Yeah, 2005 and then 2006.
Yeah.
And it was a lot cheaper too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is true.
So.
I bet Xbox is hoping for that. Well, I guess no one wants to hope that something gets delayed, but that would benefit them.
Yes, no,
straight out the gate.
I guess moving on to the entertainment industry, what's some stuff you can see happening, outside of just the world of video games and into the movie industry?
Well, we're already seeing a bunch of movies get delayed.
Yes.
A bunch of production of movies get delayed. Like one of the ones that oh man, this sucks is the Matt Reeves Batman movie.
Yes.
And so that one. And what's funny though is that prior to them announcing hey, we're halting production for 2 weeks, the day before they were like, no, we're continuing, and then the day later they're yeah, we're halting. And I wonder if that was
I'm sure that probably came down from higher ups. I'm sure the people on the set wanted to just keep things rolling like normal.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people higher up the chain, said, no, we don't want to risk, lawsuits from people continuing to film and put them in there. What if someone gets the coronavirus and dies while on set?
Yeah.
Then they're going to be liable for exposing them to that, and then they're going to have a bunch of lawsuits.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
at the same time, we're seeing a lot of movie theaters and stuff are probably going to be closing down, at least for a little while. If the government puts everything on lockdown, they're going to get rid of a lot of the, non-essential things where people group up together and help spread the virus. So that's going to be, movie theaters, bars, restaurants. It's just going to be the essential stuff that stays open for a while.
Yeah.
And no one wants to release a movie in the middle of you can't air it anywhere.
Yeah, who's going to see it?
Exactly.
Unless, this is when Netflix could be like, hey, we'll get your the movie for super cheap.
Yeah.
And then we'll air it on our, on Netflix or HBO or whatever. That could work, but I'm pretty sure they'd be making a significant amount of money less than what they would make if they released it in theaters.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a good time for Netflix.
Oh, yeah. Disney Plus just added Frozen 2 3 months earlier, than what they were originally going to do because of all the schools being canceled and stuff.
That way everyone could stay home and watch the movie.
Which is cool, but it's also okay, so you were just holding on to that movie for the, we'll just release it. And I'm like, okay, so you got Star Wars. You have Star Wars. Just release it on Disney Plus, which they might do.
They might do early. If they put a state of emergency in the U.S. and lock down large sections of the country, I mean, we could see them start putting some stuff out. Everyone's staying at home. If we put out a big movie in the middle of this, maybe we'll get more subscribers.
Yeah. And as predatory as this is, imagine the sales on video games, digital video games, if America goes on quarantine.
Well, I definitely think, and that's another interesting thing too. Do you think it would go up or down? Because
I think sales will go up because prices will go down. They'll do a crazy
the coronavirus sale,
COVID-19 sale for 2 weeks, or a quarantine sale, or it's entirely possible.
I could see them doing a sale like that,
the stay-at-home week or something.
And it would also be really hard to predict if sales would go up or down because people are going to be trapped at home wanting something to do,
but B,
they're not
have their money.
They're not going to be getting money while they're at home, and a lot of people aren't going to have that excess income.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really interesting to see if that really ups the sales of digital downloads or if it slows the sales. Maybe some people would rather eat. Or maybe some people would rather play something than eat.
Yeah. And we both work in retail.
Yes.
And we have seen how crazy people are being with what's going on.
Yes.
It wouldn't surprise me that people spend their money on movies and video games. That would not actually surprise me.
Well, we're in such an interconnected economy right now. Just people cannot stand to just sit around and be bored.
Yeah.
I think it'd be terribly boring personally. If I was just sitting at home and there was no power for 2 weeks, I'm like, I don't really know what I would do.
Well, there's board games.
Oh, yeah, there's board games.
Board games, card games. This is probably a great time for the makers of D&D.
Yeah, or Hasbro.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Hasbro. They own a lot of board games, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess there's some light in this craziness.
I guess overall, though, my thoughts on, the
coronavirus.
The coronavirus.
What do you rate it? 0 out of 10.
I personally don't think it's going to be much worse than a regular flu season.
No.
I think the media is kind of blowing this whole thing out of proportion.
Yes.
I think we are probably going to see, hundreds of thousands of people infected.
Yeah.
Or even into the millions.
Yeah.
I think we're probably going to see tens of thousands of deaths. But the sad truth of it is that that's pretty much a normal flu season. It's just normally it doesn't get reported on this much.
Yeah.
I just don't see the lethality of this virus being anything to go to this level of extreme to worry about.
No, not at all. And even last December, there was that sickness that was going around that I got sick by it, and it was insane. And we didn't hear anything about that. And there's people that are saying oh, that was the coronavirus. Maybe that was, they didn't know that that's what that was.
Yeah.
But there's there's no way. If you look at the people that have the coronavirus now, they're, relatively okay.
Yeah.
But they're not going through what we went through, in December. And there was a lot of people that got affected by that. I don't know if you got sick.
I didn't get it out. I skipped out on that one somehow.
Yeah, it was rough. But with that, it just seems like, you're right. People are overreacting only because they're being told to.
Yes.
Which is unfortunate.
That being said, I do think that there is a high probability now of, the U.S. going under a certain lockdown and putting sections in quarantine.
Yeah.
So for anybody out there, I would recommend at least a 2 or 3 week supply of food.
Yeah.
And this would be a great time if you do get put on lockdown to go through some of the old games in your catalog.
Yeah.
How many of us have stuff that
our time to shine? Backlogs, knock them out.
I'm I've got so much stuff I've never had a chance to get around to playing. This would be the time to do it.
Yeah. Like
if this happens.
Yeah. If the world ends, I had already bought all of the Final Fantasies in hopes to play through them all, but then I'm like, that's not going to happen. Now, it probably still won't happen because that's like, I don't know, maybe 1,200 hours worth of games that I bought, maybe more. So probably not, but still, like this is all the memes that are going around about like there's gamers with like, oh, quarantine is happening, now it's our time to shine. I'm like, well, yeah, kind of. Like we have to stay at home, and like Steam hit one of the highest concurrent records of people playing at the same time, and it was because of all the quarantines.
Yeah.
Like, well, I mean, I guess that's gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, I guess check back with us for more news and everything, and we're gonna keep taking a look at this situation. But like I said, I would not freak out about this. It's not gonna be the end of the world. Everyone's gonna be fine.
Yeah, when they stop reporting on it, but it's still getting worse, that's probably when they freak out. And they're like,
yeah, that would be a thing. It's like today, 10 billion people died. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. When they stop talking about it, but you know something's up. Yeah. That's when it's gonna get bad. But
right now,
it's
I
unlikely.
think we're fine.
Yeah,
it's just a media thing.
Yeah. It's media.
All right. I think that's all we got for now.
Yep. I'm Zach.
And I'm Lindsay.
And we're the Game Forum.